It's this transition between gathering the fruits, and it can be metaphorical, gathering the fruits of our labor. And then we're moving into fall, and now we're distilling and finding value and taking the value of all that work we did in the summer. So now we have the fruits of our labor, and it's this distilling and purifying aspect of fall that is starting to play out before our eyes.
And it was really interesting because in the conversation, a lot of women were feeling like a failure, feeling behind because they were wanting to push themselves right now and get ahead and get everything done. And you were saying that is not really the energy that we're in. Is that correct? Welcome to our very first in-person Wildly Wealthy Woman podcast in the new content space. I am so honored and excited to have a local celebrity because Sheri is not only an incredible healer, she's an incredible person, has an incredible story, and she is in my Sales School for Healers program. And the other day she started telling the group about what energy we're working with in the season, which in North America is fall. And people were just eating up the information. We're like, oh my gosh, we need to know more of this. And I thought, let's bring Sheri on the podcast to share the seasonal update with you energetically and what's going on with your body. Sheri has a whole host of different techniques and tools that she uses. I'll let her share about that in a moment. But if we like this, if you guys like this, I'm thinking we should have her come on every season, giving us a seasonal update about what kind of things we can be doing, especially when it comes to Chinese medicine, all the different modalities that you do. Sheri, I'm so excited and honored to have you on the podcast. Welcome.
Oh, thank you, Jacqueline. It's surreal being. I know. And I always find it so fascinating being with you in person because we spend so much time online. And then I'm like, oh, you're real.
We live in such a small town too. So it's like when we see each other, we're like, right, we can do that here.
I'm like, oh my gosh, it's you in 3D. 5D.
Yeah, it's been so cool. Well, thank you for coming on. And do you want to start by sharing with everyone a little bit about your story? Because you've had a pretty profound journey in the past 2 years, year and a half with your healing. So do you want to start there, and then we'll get into some of the modalities that you teach and the energy update?
Sure. In May 2004, I had a heart attack, a couple of them caused by a coronary artery that dissected. And it really just, it was so shocking because I live a healthy lifestyle and I am a massage therapist for a career. And so I spent almost like over 20 years looking after people and advocating for them to look after themselves and have been looking after people and looking after myself and looking after my family. So to do all those things, health and wellness has been like the core of everything that I do. So when I had a heart attack, it was so shocking. And unfortunately, the coronary artery dissection was quite significant. So it leveled me. And I went from like hiking and biking every day and doing yoga 4 to 5 times a week and like looking after my family and all those things. At the time, my oldest daughter was a national competitive gymnast. And it took a lot to keep her moving in a direction and in the direction she wanted to go. So it just was I've had a very full life. And then that happened and I was completely leveled to the place where I was on the couch for 4 months, physically leveled, but energetically leveled as well, because I couldn't, it was so hard managing everything around me because I didn't have the fortitude to do anything. And that was really hard to explain to the people around me. I mean, they saw that I couldn't do anything, but when I think about it, it was the margins of my life became so narrow, and there was nothing extra on any side for me to grab onto. So it was definitely a journey within to get through
this experience.
Yeah. And I guess what I found so profound was the emotions that came up with it. I couldn't handle them, so I had to dissociate from feeling. And I'm a very, very feeling I just sensitive and feel a lot. And I had to put that to the side and not feel, because once I would feel, it would irritate my heart and it would give me the sensations that I was trending towards having another heart attack. And it's a really awful, unsettling feeling. Just that knowing that when I started feeling like that, it could trend towards something serious in a moment. Like I could be here this minute, but I could not, maybe I wouldn't be here in 2 more minutes. So it was just living on that edge. And through that, I did really experience the weight of our emotions that we carry. And I was like, holy cow, it's all invisible, but it's all very real. And it really birthed a deeper curiosity about emotions and how is this all working in our body? And I've understood our emotions as energy in motion. And it just was like, oh my gosh, this is so real. If this is real for me, this is real for everybody. We hold an emotional load that is invisible, and it starts to show up in our life in different ways. And it's exasperated by stress, and it takes us away from our purpose. And so, as traumatic and dramatic as this healing or this event was in my life, it's like now hindsight, 16, 17 months later, I feel so blessed. I'm like, I don't wish that on anybody. And yet the paradox of it is that I am so thankful that I've gone through this, which is just wild to say.
Your story is so important for so many reasons. And first of all, I'm so grateful that you're here. I know that we became close sort of in the middle of your healing journey, but I cannot imagine the world without you. Everyone that meets you knows that you're the brightest light, which I'm sure you've heard so much.
I
could cry because I had the honor of supporting you a little bit during it, kind of in the middle of when this started to happen, right? Because it happened in May, and I think we connected in August.
Yeah, like I said, I couldn't really do much. And I missed, my family was in Portugal. Ruby competed her last international competition, and I couldn't go because there's just no way. There was no way I didn't move. I didn't really leave the house for the whole summer. So yeah, so they were gone, and I was at home and lying on the floor, and I had a moment where I just felt like, okay, God, I don't know what you want me to do, but if you could show me, I could, really use the help.
This is a moment, full surrender.
Yeah. And then I saw your advertisement on Instagram for
healers.
Yeah, I'm like, oh. And like, I think with having a heart attack, so many things happen within the body that our innate energy reserves are used. And so the whole energetic system is depleted. And so in that moment, I was like, I don't even know how this can happen right now.
Yeah.
And I just had this really strong feeling. I'm like, I think I need to do this. These are my next steps forward. And the first couple of calls, I was like, I couldn't be on camera. Well, I mean, I could be, but it was like just so shocking to see myself in that position. of like I couldn't sit up really without getting lightheaded or feeling my heart starting to hurt. Throughout the year, it felt like spirit was revealing one thing after another that I was stepping towards. I mean, there was so many beautiful things, and I sure experienced that God's in the detail because it was just one unfolding after the other. Even though so compromised, there was just so much hope. And I really had to tune in and just keep that as my conversation in my head to myself.
I remember you coming on with some of those first calls, and just it was a very delicate space that you were in. And I was having not any of the same experiences that you were, but I had heart issues earlier in the year. And so I knew that feeling of you would say, I can feel my heart. And I knew what that meant because I had felt little twinges of that earlier in the year. I had some heart issues. And so I remember just telling you, like, it's okay. You can just be in the room. You don't have to say anything. Just for some reason, we both knew that you were being called to step into this space. And I would love to go into it for a moment about how skilled you are, because you guys, Sheri is one of the most talented healers I know. And you went into this experience quite equipped with knowledge about the energy system and how the body works. But a lot of women that go through this have no idea. And they go to the hospital, they go through a surgery or, the health thing they're facing with their heart, but then they're just sent home. And I can imagine that was extremely vulnerable, even with the knowledge that you had. So can we talk about for a moment some of the skills that you have as a healer? What's some of the trainings that you've had that supported you on the healing journey?
Oh, yeah. So I've been a registered massage therapist since 2003. So that is going on 23 years. And so and through being a RMT, there's just continuing ed credits that you have to accumulate every session before you renew. So that has been just like a constant. And in that, I've taken a lot of fascial. It's great with the continuing ed that it's enforced, but you also get to pick what you'd like to do. Like we're not just allowed to say specialize, but I've spent most of my continuing ed studying fascial release and techniques and just the theory of fascia. And it's so exciting because it's really, really, really becoming more and more understood by the month. And we're all equipped with this incredible sensory system that is just being discovered. And it blows me away. And the brain, yeah, there's been so much focus on what the brain does and what the senses do. And now fascia is becoming more understood that it is like
A core component to healing.
yeah, it is. It is the interface between our inner world and our outer world that is all around us. And it is that sense when something moves through you in less than a second, less than a millisecond, and there's just something that deep within you, or you have and it's like that
Awareness.
that is the awareness of a fascial system that's getting attuned, just, yeah. That is just I'm constantly learning about that. I've been a yoga instructor for as long as I've been an RMT. And with that there's been continuous, lots and lots and lots of training and lots of experience too, teaching classes. So that is a wealth of knowledge that I draw in on. And with the yoga, I've also incorporated the role model method by Jill Miller. And that's phenomenal. So what I love about that work is it really incorporates the therapy balls into addressing the fascial system. So we start to like mobilize the fascia, just get it unstuck. And so energy can flow through that. So it's our fascial matrix system. We're looking for the fluidity movement of, yes, all the fluid within our fascial system. But once there is more fluidity, the energy can flow. And so we become more attuned to the energies around us. And so that's all, like it's
One component.
one, it's like that it kind of all builds on each other. And what I also spend a lot of time doing is for myself and anybody who will take one of my potions is it's called Aromatherapy Kinesiology, and it is a method that is dear to my heart. I've used this method for for 15 years. My youngest daughter is 16, and I took that training when she was 1. And it's called the Blossoming Heart, and it is a modality using aromatherapy kinesiology, which is kind of built on traditional Chinese medicine and naturopathic insights. And so that that is just like mystical and magical because I do muscle testing on myself with, for example, for you in mind, and I could go through a list of 60 oils that are separated into spiritual, emotional, mental, physical. Yeah. So there are 15 oils in each category, and they go from like something that we're working with, and that the scent will take us into a higher vibration. So for this is just like a crude example. It's like I'm mad and I want to be happy.
Yeah.
Or um
Lavender.
or lavender is like feeling from neglected to nurtured.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so we move from like a lower vibration to a higher vibration. So that has been super. I've used that, yeah, a lot, and definitely while I was healing my heart.
And so you were laid flat out, have all this knowledge and awareness of the fascia system, the oils, the movement of energy in the body, and all you can do is lie there and kind of be in it. And so what started happening for you as you were in that position? Because I kind of witnessed it in sales school, but it's like you had downloads start to come through of understanding that the body was more than just our physical body, that there was an energy system. And I know you call it holographic health. Am I correct on that? That you're starting to become more aware of and understanding like people need to know that there is another way of healing. Because in your position, you got sent home after a very major surgery and you're like, okay, just lie here and hope I get better. And I know some of the things we've discussed is like education for women in heart health. Like, yes, obviously following all the medical advice, but there's so much more going on in our bodies than we realize. Am I on track with that?
Yeah. I'll just say I luckily didn't have to have heart surgery, but you are right. I had to have a stent put in.
Right.
And it's through an angiogram.
Yeah.
So it's not as invasive, way less invasive than surgery itself.
Okay.
But I had to have that placed in just to open up the artery.
Yeah.
And that took a year for my body to
Accept it.
make it its own.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. But yeah, so when I went into a space of, I was forced into a way that I couldn't talk. I could not talk. We're talking right now because the vibration of my voice would elicit like heart pain. And so I just had to be quiet, but that forced me inside. And it was like I was listening to guidance, and I would be like, oh, I need this oil. And I'm used to the names of the oils, but they are kind of obscure. And so there's one oil called cistus, and it helps to move shock out of the body. So I would put that on. It kind of brought up so much emotion. So it's like, okay, I could feel the emotion, or I could okay, the emotion's moving through me, and I know it is because all these tears are coming from my eyes. but it couldn't really get upset.
Ooh, that's
So
tricky.
yes, yeah, trying to understand, okay, this needs to come out, but how do I let it out with getting triggered by heart pain?
Well,
It was every moment was a navigation of getting myself through this. And wow, I had this moment of, it was full surrender. I was like, the only way I'm going to get through this is if I completely accept what's happened and surrender to what needs to be done. And that was the only way through, because I was like, I'm going to just end up
fighting it, which is
up in hospital. And I did have to go back once in July. So my episode was in May. So I kind of thought a lot of healing, but it was like, I didn't realize I couldn't do anything. Like I couldn't, and I was starting to do, in that period of time, I was starting to do, just stand up a little bit longer, or make, I don't know, a salad. Like, wow. But I couldn't, but that was too much. So my body let me know, and I ended back up at the ER and then emerged. And then I was like, okay, this is actually absolutely nothing. I have to surrender to this and do absolutely nothing. So it was like, yeah, yeah. It was dealing with shock. It was dealing with, I'm just remembering the oils. It was helichrysum. It was, which is for acceptance. I don't think I got it right there, but I can't remember. I should write the
good.
Yeah.
We'll do an Instagram later.
Okay.
At the moment. But I think that it's interesting because sometimes when nothing is happening, everything is happening. And I'm curious if that's what it felt like for you. You couldn't do anything. You're lying there. But I witnessed you being in my community. A lot of things were happening for you internally, healing wise, and towards your purpose. You mentioned that at the beginning. And do you feel like this experience started to push you towards a bigger purpose that you had been maybe feeling called towards for a while, but didn't know how or where to begin?
I think so, Jackie. Yeah, I really think so. I have felt like I don't, I know it, but I don't know it and don't know how to get there. But this put me into a place of like, oh, I think I get it now. And now it's starting to unfold. Yeah, yeah.
And that's where I thought it's been so cool to watch it happen because you are such a wealth of knowledge and experience and skills. And each week you would come and we would start to pull out more and more and more what it is that you're building. And it was just as much of an adventure for me as it was for you. I'm sure it's like we didn't know what was wanting to come through you, but you trusted the process. And I think that's so important for anyone that's going through a health crisis or a life transition and you're just feeling so much uncertainty. But to know that if you can allow yourself to go into the experience, you will receive something, whether that's healing or wisdom or insight, and that will open up a door to something greater. And so last week inside of sales school, well, you and I had connected earlier in the week, and you were telling me about some of the new things you're studying, which I know includes Chinese medicine. And you were saying there's so much going on in the body depending what the season is. And each season, there's different things being activated. I don't know if that's the word you would use. And so I asked you to share in the group, and everyone was just like, oh my gosh, eating up the information that you were sharing. And so I said, would you come in and share this with my community and share it on the podcast? And so I think this is just like another step on your purpose unfolding and developing. So I think if we transition now into some of the themes that people can expect around this time in North America, it's fall, and share with us some of the wisdom, what you know that is happening in our bodies during this time and what we can do to support ourselves in it.
Okay. Yeah. So I think there's one principle from the 5-element theory and based or coming from the traditional Chinese medicine lens. And that is that I think for the most part, we've all heard these words. There's yin and yang, and you can see like the symbol of yin and yang with one side is white and one side is black, right? And so that is a really good way to visualize the seasons in the sense that yin is always rising. So yin is coming from a really, really the depths of the earth, the depths of somewhere. I want to say the center of core of the earth, yeah. But maybe it's somewhere else in the universe, right? Like it's really like it's the source of an energy that is rising, and then it meets yang, and yang comes down. So yang is coming from the heavens down. So yin is always rising and yang is always descending, and you can see that symbolized in the yin yang symbol. Does that
absolutely.
make sense?
It's clicking. Yeah.
Okay. So the seasons are, you can really, having that in mind, you can really start to understand the seasons of seasonal environment.
Yeah.
Is really nice. Like, then you can visualize fall, for example. And so the Chinese medicine system, or the 5-element system based off the traditional Chinese lens, there's 5 seasons. So there's winter, there's spring, there's early summer, late summer, and fall. So it's I really like that because it makes, there is so much life and expression, say in June, early July, and then there's so much through that whole season of July and August, early September. There's another expression of fruit and vegetables. I love the garden, thinking of that all coming, and then, for example, we are in fall, so moving into the autumn season, and it's this transition between gathering the fruits, and it can be metaphorical, gathering the fruits of our labor, and then we're moving into fall, and now we're distilling and finding value and taking the value of all that work we did in the summer. So now we have the fruits of our labor, and it's this distilling and purifying aspect of fall that is starting to play out before our eyes.
And it was really interesting because in the conversation, a lot of women were feeling like a failure, feeling behind because they were wanting to push themselves right now and get ahead and get everything done. And you were saying that is not really the energy that we're in. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's more representative of the spring energy, is to take all that we feel, that lift into us. So I find it interesting with each season, there is a movement of energy in our body. So the energy of the lungs and the large intestine are the organs that are represented in fall season. And so there's a couple important things to, when I think about fall, is the lungs and large intestine. It's the metal season. Each season has an element associated to it. It's the metal season. It's the season of the Po spirit. The Po is an energy that comes from the earth, and it's very instinctual, where the heart holds the soul's mandate. They're all connected very closely to our purpose, but the heart is more intuition, where the Po is related to the metal season, and it's more instinct. So
it's a different kind of action that comes when you're following your instinct.
Yeah, these instinctual things that we do versus the intuitive things that we do. But they're so tightly connected, right? Yeah. It's a little bit hard to discern what is what until you start training yourself to look at it in a different way, in the sense of questioning it. Is this intuition or is this instinct? And like, you just think of a baby finding the breast after birth, like it's instinct. We're born with our Po, right? Where sometimes it takes the energies coming from the human, it's just a little bit to settle into the body. after birth. But with birth, we're born with our instincts.
Interesting. Because being in a group of female entrepreneurs, for example, that are very ambitious and driven, it can be hard for them to let go and trust their instincts because society is telling us, go, 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 do, do, do. And that's one of the reasons I created the sales school for healer spaces, because we do not run on the rules of regular society all the time. And it was interesting when you were sharing this information with the group, everyone had their own interpretation of it. They took certain things that you said and certain things stuck out for them. So I just want to say that for everyone listening, is there might be one thing that she says that totally makes sense to you, or another thing you don't quite understand, but it was really fascinating to watch that unfold in our conversation. And so interesting that you said instinct is different than intuition, and this is a very instinctual time.
Yeah, and it is related to the metal season, and we're moving into the season. So, it's just such a different way to look at life, because I think we are set up in this structure that the feminine did not create. We are in a structure of patriarchy, and it is that structure that we're all trying to fit in, and doesn't work. The feminine, it's like some aspects of it, but is it holistic? I feel like no, it's not really holistic. Where you look at this way of, it's ancient, it's old, and it with this wisdom, ancient wisdom. And it made so much sense when I was lying there and I started to understand the energy of the heart. And then I moved into the heart is when it happened. My heart attack is when it happened, is in moving right into the heart season. And then I was in the summer season, early summer and late summer. And that is all about digesting. It's all about digesting and the things that you take or absorb the value. And then it shifts into fall, where you're trying to, I think what is taking the pure from the impure. You think of the summer element is represented by yi. In late summer, yi is earth. So it's like taking, as we move into fall, moves into metal. So I get from earth to metal, where it's dense. It's becoming more. I'm thinking of how is gold made? I don't know, but it's compressed and heated, and so we're taking the pure. You'd be fine. Yeah, we're taking the pure from the impure, and that is the heart. And the autumn season, the fall season, the metal season, is to take the purest things that we have cultivated and use that as our source of power. And it's not saying you have to stop working and doing all this, but it's this reflective process to say, take the most important things, take the things that are the treasures from that season, and that's what we work with. So it's not that we're spreading ourselves so thin, we're just going with what is the most valuable, because the most valuable is going to get us where we want to go.
Yeah, it's like I can see what you're saying now. It's refining. The summer's a lot of energy, and it's taking all that energy, refining it, like you said, into something like gold. So it's something that is a gem or a crystal that is, and using that to create from, it seems to be a lot more efficient way of using energy as well. It's not as fast and there's not as much, but what you are doing has more maybe intention behind it.
Yeah, it has more potency. And then it kind of goes into, okay, so we have the purest thing. And now with the fall, just a common example that we can all visualize is that the leaves start to fall off the tree. So it's an aspect of letting go. So we can be in sync with the season when we start to let go of things in our life that aren't serving us to our highest wellness. And it's like it can go from the big grandiose things that would change the whole trajectory of your life, Or it can go into the minutia of our thoughts, of letting go of negative self-talk, letting go of habits that don't bring us the vitality and energy. I think a lot about, and we have David Guillaume is who you brought into my world, and he talks a lot about gossiping and how that wipes your energy out. And it's
the subtlest thing too. I remember when I learned that, I was learning it alongside of you, but when I was learning that, I was like, oh, it's the little things that we are unconsciously doing that are draining our energy. And sometimes it's not even being the one that's gossiping, but being in the energy of people that are, and not doing anything about it, and not just removing yourself, but even not putting a stop to it. And I feel like that there's a higher accountability to that at this time of year. It sounds like what you're saying.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, that's kind of what the season is saying,
Yeah.
you know, and using like the roadmap of that ancient wisdom leader and going, oh, okay, maybe it's a time to look at those things in our life,
Yeah.
and let things go, because that takes away from the pureness of the things that we have worked so hard to cultivate.
Yeah, it's so interesting because as you're sharing this, I'm flipping through how this applies to my business, how this applies to relationships, how this applies to health. And that's the really cool thing about the thing that you're teaching is it can mean something different to each of us listening and watching. But to take time to ask yourself this time of year, what is being refined? What needs to go? What needs to stay? I also heard you say follows a lot about lungs and the intestine, that you said?
The large intestine.
The large intestine.
Yeah.
How do we work with that? How can we support the lungs and large intestine right now?
Yeah. So there is so many great resources on Instagram. There's a great one, it's called Chi Food Therapy, and she shows you what to eat or what foods are in season to kind of help us nourish our body in that way. Awesome. So there's that aspect. What I'm working a lot with is method that I've kind of come up with through my experience this last 16, 17 months, and I call it Fasyin. And it's my love for fascia and yoga. And the yin is a really beautiful way to just kind of allow the energy to flow through our body once we address our fascia system. So it's so fun to say my creation out loud, fashion. So good. It's working with the lungs and the large intestine for this season. And so when I think of the large intestine, it's about you think of breathing, and we take air, we take the most valuable thing, oxygen, and then we exhale what we don't need. And we take the purest thing. I think that's like the biggest reflective aspect that kind of keeps me on track for the long season. And then the large intestine is really similar to how Western medicine, the large intestine, it takes the remaining nutrients, the remaining minerals and water, and then we let go of all of the rest. So to support the really easy yet effective way to move lung energy is by sound. And you can visualize a whole line of S's. So it's the sound of S. And you can just simply
Make that sound. Interesting.
Yeah. So in Fashion, we take a yoga pose. Yeah. Coordinating to the lung meridian. So, and then we'll expel lung energy out of with this sound. And I mean, cognitively, I totally get it. And then last year, I really practiced it. And I was like, what is actually happening to me?
It's hard.
I would do the practice and I would ugly go, but the release that is so primal, those moments in your life where you've never cried like that. Yeah, that's what happened. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is a grief locked up in the lungs coming out because of practice, like a yin practice.
Wow.
With qigong movements for the lung and sound. And I was like, well, that's not good in the body.
No, get that out.
Get that out. And I just remember, my husband and I were having a hot tub, and I was like, could not wait for him to get out because I need to
Ugly cry.
And I was like, I don't think I felt compromised because I was getting better at that time. I think it was in the middle of the winter, but I didn't have the fortitude in me to explain to him what was happening in me. So I just needed a bit of space for and I could feel it percolating up and out. So sound of vibration, right now it's so great. There are so many sound bowl classes. There's several in town and around.
I can listen to them.
Oh, so
It's so interesting. It's fascinating you say this because last night I was listening to a song and I don't know what it was about the song. I started crying so hard. And even trying to go to sleep, I was still crying. And I'm like, what is happening to me? But it's interesting that you say this. It was the sound. It was the song that triggered it. And it was that deep, ugly cry that I was like, I'm not on my period. This is just really intense, but it felt like a deep clean. I don't even know how to describe it. I felt renewed after.
yeah.
And I always said that in grief, there's gratitude. And I'm so grateful for your knowledge because I probably would have felt crazy last night if I didn't know that this season is about grief. It's normal to feel anything, but grief especially, and to not be afraid of it because it is cleansing. Like you said, you don't want that in your body.
Yeah.
And today I feel a little maybe tired or foggy, but I do feel like a sense of renewal. It's like you said, it's like cleaning the stuff out.
Yeah.
That doesn't need to be there. And it's so much easier to focus too, because I'm like, I'm not carrying all this stuff around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I think is so fascinating with emotions. Like we know it.
Yeah.
That we feel lighter after a good cry. And I feel like we've all experienced that.
If you've ever tapped with me, I first sure.
Absolutely. I have, absolutely. And yeah, so it's just a simple practice is to give yourself the space to stuff out. Yeah, whatever it is. Who knows what we're holding? I feel
I
like
didn't even know what it was about. Like, what is happening?
You can say it's a really great way to do that throughout whenever you remember is to take that sound. And a nice way to do it is at different noise levels in the sense you could go quite audible and then a whisper and then silent. And sometimes silent is great when you know you need to release something, but you're in amongst an environment that you can't. I'll absolutely use that. Wow. Just holding that mindset and letting it go, whatever it is. It's about letting it go. And the large intestine, there is an acupressure point, and it's right in the webbing of the hand. And when you press, I'm sure you can find it like sensitive. Yeah. And that's a really powerful grief acupressure point. Yeah. And I'm sure if you added the sound, you could really start releasing that. But I know for me, that's a fairly sensitive spot right now. It's been a big year, and I've also lost my brother. My brother passed away
A few months.
in August. And so it's just, I just know my system's holding a lot, processing grief. And I think that's really important to mention because grieving is a process. It doesn't happen overnight. And certain things are revealed to us as we move through our grieving. And it's a really important time to create softness in our life, like habits that embrace us and have an outlet to put this energy somewhere, something you enjoy, like something we enjoy to do. I think that's a really important thing. during the grieving process. And, it's just part of being human. We are all going to go through grief.
Yeah.
And it's these little things that can help lighten the load. And I really feel the emotional load because that was what was revealed to me during my health crisis, is how much we hold and how important it is to let it go and let it go so we don't hold it. And I think in that holding of energy, we can kind of set ourselves up for a discourse of health things that come up. And, like there, it's really not recognized in the medical field, or maybe it's starting to come. I feel it is like, there's this relationship of stress. But what causes stress?
What's the root of it?
What's the root of stress? Yeah. And I think we're all, for the most part, the population is aware.
Absolutely.
Of this. And so this is a method, this is like a lens, an ancient wisdom lens to look at life and create wellness.
Yeah.
Really wellness to a deeper level. And I feel like I had a moment this weekend. I'm like, why is all this spiritual content coming up right now? Why is there is a push, and sure as we can all see online, like there's like wellness is just coming out from every corner. And I'm like, why? Like obviously to feel good, and to feel good in our life. But I think there's something bigger happening, and we're moving into a place of, this is going to sound way out there, and this might not put me out in the highway all by myself. Make me look, I don't know, I'm just going to be there. I just feel like, this is such a paradox. We're so busy, and then we're being to relax
and grieve and slow down.
Yeah. And I just we're like, what? But I really feel, because the earth is shifting. There's something happening within on the earth, but the earth is influenced by us, and the earth is influenced by universe energies. And I think when we can relax, we can tap into the energies and be in communication in a way that I think we all want to get to. But we can only get there if we're relaxed.
That's it. I always say when you relax is when you receive.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, you totally do. And I feel like that, I was like, oh, it just really, really made sense this weekend. But maybe it's because I asked God for some guidance. And there it is. I just thought, oh, okay. So I just feel so important to let go of that energy that's not serving us. So this energy, it's in traditional Chinese medicine, is called the Tao, which is our purpose, can come in. And then when we are in rhythm with the seasons, and we are moving grief, and we're letting go, and we're using what we've cultivated to be pure, where we can understand our purpose that much better. And then we're going to move into the winter season, where there's a whole other wealth of knowledge. So if we can be in rhythm with what the earth is giving, then I think we can just move forward with some self-empowerment, but more ease.
And that's really one of the main messages I want everyone to hear is the earth sets us up at this time every year to do this. And it's probably natural and normal if you're not someone that's like you and I, that we lean into emotions. We take emotions as feedback and information and know what to do with them, to have some resistance to it. Like I hear people say all the time, like, oh, I hate winter and fall. Like I know I don't do well in those seasons, but I think partially the reason for that is that we're working against the energy instead of with it. And working with the energy or doing practices like the Fascia, or eating the foods that are going to support your lungs and your intestines, and doing practices like tapping And so I always think about, what would I want my daughter to know? I'm always thinking when I create things, if I could leave her wisdom, what would I say? And your wisdom today has really reminded me to lean into the season that we're in. The more we lean into it, the more we're going to get out of it. And so if a song makes you cry, let it make you really cry. Or if you get triggered by something, instead of pushing it away, allow it to come up and show you what it wants you to see. And I feel like your work really gently takes people through that process. And if you're not a verbal processor and you're just like, I know I have stuff, I don't know where it is in my body, I know I have to release it, I feel like Fashion would be such a great experience for them, because you can just go and be guided in a class. You don't have to have a sit down one-on-one. You can just go and be a part of the collective experience of everyone else in it with you. So I know that your work right now is all in person, but we've been working together to help you bring it online. If people are listening, where would you like them to connect with you? I know locally they can come to your classes because you're doing a series, I believe, right? Fashion is a series in person.
Yeah, I'm going to be doing this class at the Alchemy on Wednesdays at 7
Amazing.
p.m. So that's a great way to have a touch base and be in the collective energy of other people and be doing the same practice. And that you can either drop in, or I recommend signing up just so you know you have your slot. And
We're going to bring it online. That I'm committed to making sure that we bring this to the masses.
Yeah, I would really like to do that. And so I've have a website now up and running. It's more just informative at this moment, but you know, can kind of see what I'm up to, or what I've been up to. My website.
We'll make sure we link it up in the show notes. It's a great place to connect with Sheri, and I'm committed to making sure that her class you get online so we can share it with all of you, because just as magical as you are on this video, like, I know her classes are 10 times more magical. And so I want to make sure that everyone gets access to you, even if that's a simple Zoom recording or however it works. But I encourage everyone to go check out Sheri's website to stay connected to us, because I would love to have you on again for the winter season.
Yeah, well, that would be wonderful.
Yeah.
I love that.
And let us know if this information was valuable to you, was helpful to you. If it was, we just ask that you share it. Share it with 3 friends or share it on your social media, because you never know who is going through something that they need to hear Sheri's story. They need the wisdom, the information that she has to offer. So thank you, Sheri, so much for coming on. Is there any messages you would want to leave people with before we sign off today?
How we want.
No, that's a big question.
That energy, just like when we don't move and purposefully, energy stagnates. And I feel that it's through whatever movement practice a person prefers. You know, commit to it, do it, because it makes such a difference for the energetic, emotional load that our body carries. So when you move, I love yoga.
Yeah.
So I just feel like that moves my energy. I have really found so much benefit practicing Qigong, and that has been super helpful. And using the seasons be a guide of what to let go of and move towards, and use the energy of the season to fortify yourself.
Wow. That is so much wisdom right there. So thank you, Sheri, for coming on and sharing all of your amazing magic and wisdom. I can't wait to have you back. I'm sure everyone's going to love you. And we'll see you guys next time.
Bye. Bye.